The moment Rachel fell asleep on my lap, I knew something was wrong. Not because it was strange, not because we were neighbors, but because Rachel Mercer was the kind of person who never let herself rest. For nearly 2 years, I had watched her carry the weight of the world on her shoulders. And that night, as rain tapped softly against the apartment windows in Columbus, Ohio, she looked completely exhausted. Then, just a few days later, she looked me in the eyes and asked for something I never expected, a real date. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video. Leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories. My name is Caleb Foster, and at 32, I had become comfortable with being alone. After a painful breakup years earlier, I focused on my work as a high school history teacher and avoided anything that looked remotely like romance. My apartment building was quiet, filled mostly with young professionals and retirees. Then Rachel moved into the unit across the hall. From the beginning, she was friendly but distant. She always smiled, always said hello, but there was a sadness hidden behind her eyes. Over time, I learned she worked as a nurse at a local hospital. Long shifts, little sleep, endless responsibility. Months passed, and our friendship slowly grew. It started with small things, carrying groceries, feeding each other's pets during busy weekends, sharing homemade meals, watching football games in the community lounge. Nothing dramatic, nothing romantic. At least that's what I kept telling myself. The truth was, Rachel had become the brightest part of my week. Yet every time I considered asking her out, fear stopped me. Losing a friendship felt worse than risking rejection. Then life became harder for her. Her father, a widower living in Kentucky, developed serious health problems. Rachel spent countless weekends driving back and forth to care for him, while continuing her demanding hospital schedule. She never complained, but I could see the exhaustion growing. One stormy Friday evening, she knocked on my door carrying a container of soup she had made. Her smile looked tired. We sat on the couch talking about ordinary things. Work, family, life. The rain outside created a soft rhythm against the windows. At some point, Rachel became quiet. Her eyes grew heavy. Before either of us realized what was happening, she gently rested her head against my shoulder. A few minutes later, she was asleep. I froze. Not because I felt uncomfortable, because I realized how long it had probably been since she felt safe enough to simply let go. The television played quietly in the background. The storm continued outside, and for nearly 2 hours, she slept peacefully with her head resting on my lap. I didn't move. I didn't check my phone. I simply sat there, protecting that moment. When she finally woke up, embarrassment flooded her face. She apologized repeatedly, but I assured her it was fine. What I didn't tell her was that it had been one of the most meaningful moments of my life. The following week felt different. Rachel seemed more relaxed, more open. We talked longer in the hallway, shared more meals, laughed more often, but something still remained unspoken between us. Then came the phone call. Her father had been hospitalized again. Rachel rushed to Kentucky immediately. For nearly 3 weeks, I barely heard from her. The silence brought an uncomfortable truth to the surface. I missed her far more than I wanted to admit. Every evening felt emptier. Every hallway seemed quieter. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to imagine a future with someone. I just didn't know whether she felt the same. When Rachel finally returned, she looked emotionally drained but relieved. Her father's condition had stabilized. That evening, there was another knock on my door. My heart raced. She stood there holding 2 cups of coffee. We sat together in the courtyard beneath strings of warm lights, as autumn leaves drifted across the pavement. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then Rachel surprised me. She admitted that during those difficult weeks caring for her father, she kept thinking about home. Not the apartment, not the city, me. She told me that falling asleep on my lap had revealed something she had been afraid to face. For the first time in years, she had felt completely safe, completely cared for, completely understood. Then she smiled nervously, and she asked if I would be willing to take her on a real date. Not as neighbors, not as friends, a real date for a moment. I couldn't speak. All those months of fear, uncertainty, and hesitation suddenly felt foolish. The woman I had quietly cared about for nearly 2 years was sitting beside me asking for the chance I had been too afraid to take. I said yes. That first date wasn't extravagant. We visited a small restaurant overlooking the Scioto River, walked through downtown Columbus, and spent hours talking beneath the city lights. Yet it remains the best date of my life. Not because of where we went, because of what it represented: trust, patience, friendship, and 2 people finally choosing courage over fear. Before I share the ending, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever missed an opportunity because you were afraid to take a chance? Leave your story in the comments below. Your experience might encourage someone else who needs hope today. 2 years later, Rachel and I stood together in a small church surrounded by family and friends. Her father, healthier and stronger than anyone expected, proudly walked her down the aisle. As I watched her approach, I thought back to that rainy evening when she had fallen asleep on my lap. At the time, it felt like a simple moment. But sometimes life changes in the quietest ways. Not through grand gestures, not through dramatic speeches, but through kindness, through patience, through being present when someone needs a safe place to rest. And sometimes, when you offer someone comfort without expecting anything in return, life gives you something beautiful you never saw coming. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Remember, some of life's greatest blessings begin with friendship, grow through trust, and bloom when we finally find the courage to open our hearts. And for Caleb and Rachel, it all started with a rainy night, a tired heart, and a simple moment of peace that became the beginning of forever.